But then they're going to, when they get through with all that, they have a things. When they get through with it, and then you go back. Yep.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Bill Overby. I've served as the Academy's commander this year, and along with my colleague, Dr. Terry Edwards, serve as the co-chairs of the Department of Criminal Justice and Professional Academies at Skagit Valley College. We've had the privilege of working with your graduates for the past 17 weeks as they begin their journey into the realm of public service. Before we begin, I wish to acknowledge that this event is being live streamed over the internet to accommodate interested parties who could not be here today. This includes our National Park Service partners from the Federal Law Enforcement Training Center in Glencoe, Brunswick, Georgia, and a warm Skagit Valley College welcome is extended to Superintendent Georgia Shaw, Branch Chief Mark Cutler, Accreditation Manager Crystal Clayton, and Wiley Golden as well, and others who may be watching. We at Skagit Valley College are proud to extend our graduation ceremonies into your households, especially given the circumstances which have led to difficulty and inability to travel to these ceremonies, things like flight delays, train crashes, and major fires as examples. We're also proud to participate in the protection of America's treasures, its parks, by producing quality graduates to preserve, conserve, protect, and interpret their outstanding natural, cultural, and historic features for the enjoyment of future generations. This year has marked the 101st anniversary of the National Park Service and the 104th anniversary of Washington State Parks and Recreation Commission, and is this institution of learning's 28th Academy session. All too often, we associate the playing of bagpipes with memorial services for the fallen officers in our communities. However, bagpipes are also appropriately played at times of celebration, and so it is proper that they be played to celebrate the accomplishments of our graduates this morning. It is then fitting that our 28th graduating class is honored today by being led into this ceremony by bagpipers under the leadership of Mr. Peter Rolstad of Bellingham, Washington. Let us begin by greeting the 28th graduating class of the Parks Law Enforcement Academy. This morning, the presentation of the flags will be performed by a color guard composed of members of the graduating class under the direction of Color Guard Leader Russell Blight. The flag of the United States of America is borne by Roger Scott Harbison. The flag of the state of Washington is borne by Kyle Neeser, and the flag of the National Park Service is borne by Derek Ware. The audience is asked to rise and participate in the Pledge of Allegiance led by Cadet Flight. Arms to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Order. Arm. Left. Face. Please. Ladies and gentlemen, it is indeed my privilege to introduce you to Dr. Thomas Keegan, the president of Skagit Valley College, who wishes to extend an official welcome from Skagit Valley College.
Thank you and good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the 2017 Skagit Valley College Parks Law Enforcement Academy graduation. I'd like to extend a special welcome to the families and friends of our graduates. I know many of you have traveled far to be here, so special welcome to you. And it's nice to see so many other supporters of our students here today. And I want to, as I welcome you, also thank you for being here to honor and celebrate the accomplishments of our graduates. The Parks Law Enforcement Academy began here at Skagit Valley College in 1991. The Academy is one of only 7 seasonal law enforcement training programs in the country authorized by the National Park Service and accredited by the Federal Law Enforcement Training Accreditation Board, and it's the only one in the Pacific Northwest. It's highly recognized around the nation for its high quality, and as a result, students come from around the country here to Mount Vernon for study. In fact, of the 22 graduates today, 12 of our graduates come from other states. The individuals before you today recently completed a demanding and rigorous academy that encompassed the entire spectrum of law enforcement training, including an emphasis on natural and cultural resources enforcement. They completed 720 hours of training and are now prepared to perform federal level 2 law enforcement duties for the National Park Service, as well as for the Washington State Parks and Recreation Commission. They have worked hard in the last few months, and they deserve to celebrate. I wish each and every one of the graduates all the best as you begin your professional life. So congratulations to you, and thank you all for being here today, and enjoy the rest of the ceremony. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Keegan. Many people have demonstrated exceptional commitment toward the success of the graduates before you today and are worthy of recognition. First and foremost are the spouses, children, parents, relatives, significant others, supervisors, and friends who very unselfishly put their lives and relationships on hold so that their graduating recruit could participate in this preparatory training. To you, I extend my sincerest gratitude for making this sacrifice for your special graduates' participation, and thank you for traveling from far and wide this week to honor and celebrate the graduation of these new officers into their roles as protectors and stewards of the land. I would like to recognize all administrators, staff members, instructors, advisory committee representatives, and community members who contributed expertise, time, money, food, drink, and moral support throughout the Academy. A sincere thank you for your assistance and your guidance. I'd like to, at this time, recognize those people who have served our country in the armed forces in protection of our freedoms. Would you please rise? I would also like to recognize those folks in public safety agencies, policing, fire, emergency medicine, dispatching, parks, those folks who are protectors of our neighborhoods and communities. Would you please stand? To my left, I'd also like to recognize the Dean of Workforce Education for Skagit Valley College, Mr. Darren Greeno. Members of the Parks Law Enforcement Academy Advisory Committee in attendance today. I think there are some, again, the weather and a number of things have contributed to the potential for them not being here. But the members anyway are Chief Ranger Eric Gabriel of North Cascades National Park, Chief Robert Ingram, Visitor Protection and Law Enforcement for Washington State Parks and Recreation Commission, Richard Patton, Operations Director, Snohomish County Parks and Recreation, David Green, Park Ranger Supervisor, Everett City Parks and Recreation, Bob Vokes, City of Anacortes Parks Department, Jerry Dodd, Chief of the Mount Vernon Police Department. Thank you all for your efforts toward making this a premier program nationally. And at this time, will all Academy instructional staff please stand so that I may properly thank you and the cadets may properly thank you for the important contributions of your time, knowledge, and skills. You know, it's special when one can work with someone whom they quickly bonded in friendship and respect. A little over 4 years ago, I had the good fortune to meet the person who would fill a job opening in the Criminal Justice Department. He came from Louisville, Kentucky, and his name is Dr. Terry Edwards. Dr. Edwards has served the Academy as the instructor of all things legal, constitutional law, arrest, search and seizure, rules of evidence, etc., and has served as the magistrate in the mock court this past week. As you speak with your graduate in the days to come, there's no doubt that they will speak fondly of their time with the good doctor, as he is one of their favorite instructors. Terry. The cadets know her as the lieutenant. Many of you in the audience have spoken or written to T. Davis Overby during the entry process into the Academy. The graduates today know her as the go-to person when something needs to happen quickly, or to lend an ear when they need advice, or if they're having less than what we would call a mountaintop day. Her efficiency and professional assistance contribute toward the excellence of this program, and in addition to being the glue that holds the Academy together. I am indeed both fortunate and proud to call her both my closest work associate and my wife. T, would you please come up? Thank you. There are 417 units in the National Park Service as of January this year, which include but are not limited to parks, recreation areas, natural historic places, landmarks, battlefields, seashores, and lake shores. The retired superintendent of Bryce Canyon National Park, Fred Fagergren, is quoted as saying that the National Park Service's greatest national library and history museum. Every significant natural resource within the United States and any significant historical event are represented within the National Park Service. Second, we preserve for people in the United States, plus future generations, all the significant memories of this great nation. Even many from foreign nations consider memories of their visits to our national parks among their most dear. Finally, I learned as I grew up in parks that it was a wonderful place to raise a family. I and my wife wanted to raise our 2 boys and 2 girls in similar places, end quote. According to the National Park Service website, more than 325 million people visited the national parks in 2016, a record for attendance. Serving and protecting this many visitors underscores the importance of this program, providing specialized training for the preservation, conservation, protection, and within the context of enforcement, the interpretation of America's treasures, its unique parks and green spaces. The emergence of the National Law Enforcement Academies in the mid-1970s came in response to necessary changes in duties, responsibility, and public service protection goals such as related to visitation in parks. Also, the expectations of society demanded greater care and stewardship of its special places. The seasonal law enforcement training program is managed at the National Park Service Law Enforcement Training Center in Glencoe, Georgia. The Skagit Valley program, initiated in 1991, received its national accreditation by the Federal Law Enforcement Training Accreditation Board along with 8 other colleges and universities in November 2011. Skagit Valley was granted reaccreditation on April 15th of this year, as were 6 other academies. This program can best be described as a nationally accredited law enforcement academy with natural and cultural resources emphasis taught on a community college or university campus. Skagit's program is 720 hours long and features training modules in constitutional and criminal law, human relations, crisis intervention, patrol procedures, motor code, crime scene and collision investigation, courtroom testimony, arrest, search, and seizure, ethics and professional conduct, cultural sensitivity, and bias-based policing. Additionally, all the skills that one would expect in a traditional police academy are found: use of force, firearms, control tactics, emergency vehicle operations, speed measuring devices, electronic control devices, chemical agents, and basic tactics. Today's graduates were measured against national and state-developed industry standards and held to strict standards by their respective instructors. Park Ranger Gabe Assarian of North Cascades National Park joins us today from his duty station at the North Cascades. His current responsibilities include law enforcement, emergency medical programs, search and rescue, and he's a detailed instructor to this program. Today, he will be speaking on the National Park Service perspectives on this, the 101st year of the National Park Service existence. Ranger Assarian.
Good afternoon, and welcome graduates, family, friends, faculty, staff, and others. I thank you for the privilege to spend the next few minutes sharing my perspective on the park ranger career. I grew up in a beautiful Northern California town, and my exposure to state and national parks began early in life on family camping and fishing vacations. I continued spending time in parks through high school and college, where my primary focus became enjoying their natural beauty while occasionally trying to outwit or outrun the rangers after lighting fireworks or other similar stunts. Luckily, I didn't do anything bad enough to prevent me from passing my background checks in later years. And I ended up spending more and more time in parks and other protected areas as my life moved on. After graduating college, I decided to spend the summer volunteering as a wilderness ranger in Olympic National Park. What I thought was going to be 3 months backpacking turned out to be the beginning of a career that changed my life forever. I've never looked back on that decision with regret. It's been with great pleasure working to preserve park resources and to serve park visitors. In fact, to this day, it's not unusual for me to think, I can't believe I'm getting paid to do this. What I'd like to share with the graduating class is that when I started, I really didn't realize the breadth of life experiences that this career would provide. You have the opportunity to live and work in places that are so amazing, people come from all around the world to see them. And when you get to spend that much time there, you get to see the absolute best of the best. You get to make the first tracks after a fresh snowfall. You get to see and experience those once-in-a-lifetime sunsets, storms, and wildlife sightings. And every day you are surrounded by people that are so excited to experience what your park has to offer. You hear the enthusiasm in their voices. You see it in the awe in their eyes. And I think you'll find that watching their reactions keeps you from taking your blessings for granted. On the other hand, you should also know that working as a park ranger may expose you to an absolute roller coaster of emotion. There's nothing more heartbreaking than watching a family attempt to reconcile the unexpected loss of a family member, yet nothing more rewarding than returning a lost child to their family, or providing life-saving care to someone in need. As a law enforcement officer, you have the obligation to deal with those who nobody else wants to confront. Yet you will also meet those who are surprised, yet relieved when they see you in a dark campground in the middle of the night, comforted that someone is protecting them and their belongings while they're asleep. But the real reason I returned to spend my second and subsequent seasons as a park ranger was the people with whom I worked. More than 20 years later, the dedicated park employees are still a clear highlight, particularly my fellow law enforcement officers. Although some may try to convince you otherwise, I've found that men and women of law enforcement to be some of the best and most dedicated human beings I have ever met. While working with you over the last few months, I witnessed some friendly inter-squad rivalry, but also saw you work together as a team, support each other when times were tough, and celebrate successes when goals were achieved. I believe you will find similar community and support in your new profession as park rangers. It has been my pleasure working with you, getting to know some of your goals, hopes, and desires, and it is always refreshing to see your enthusiasm and energy as you pursue your new careers. It is a great honor for me to have worked with you and to be one of the first to welcome you to your new team. Enjoy the ride, stay safe, have fun, and I wish you all the best in your future endeavors. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Another contributor and special friend to this program is Officer Scott Ray of the Anacortes Police Department. Officer Ray was selected by a popular vote of the Academy class to speak at graduation today, and I know his words involving the pride of public service will be inspirational to today's graduates and will ring true for them as well. Scott?
Welcome, esteemed visitors, families and friends, and especially those graduating. I was extremely honored to be asked to say a few words upon this important milestone. I was, however, a little bit surprised when I was asked, because anyone that knows me knows that I love to talk. So in support of that, I prepared about an hour and a half sermon for us to go through. I began my law enforcement career under the tutelage of Commander Bill Overby. I learned the basics of my future career in 2008 at the Reserve Law Enforcement Academy here at Skagit Valley College, while I was still active duty military. I've since retired from the military and began a full-time law enforcement career at the Anacortes Police Department. I have been very fortunate to become the canine handler for our mostly insane four-legged partner. Any success that I enjoy in my current career, Commander Overby and his boss, T, also enjoy a certain amount of credit for. I will be forever thankful for the influence that they have had on me and so many others like me that now stand ready to combat the evils of this world. So to you, sir, and to you, ma'am, thank you. I was pleased to be able to stand before these ladies and gentlemen several times during the last few months and speak to them about varied topics. And they always flattered me with their undivided attention. They stayed awake during a very long radar LiDAR course, and they let me show them explosion videos during explosives and tripwires. And they even let my 15-year-old son and I participate during mock scenes. They have an obvious desire to succeed, and you can sense that when you stand before them. On a side note, not once did I get a bad attitude or a rolled eyes, and I can't say that for my son, so that's pretty important. I hope you are very proud of not only what they accomplished today, but of what they stand for and what they're willing to stand against in their choice of careers. Now to you. No one who has served as a law enforcement professional for any amount of time will tell you that it's easy. There are great days filled with beautiful vistas, co-workers that you admire and enjoy, calls that you're interested in, and shift assignments that are easy on the sleep. There are often, however, more days that make you stretch. Days with copious victims and seemingly invisible suspects, where everyone seems to dislike your presence, and even those that called for your assistance seem unhappy that you're there. These are the days that rob you of sleep and won't allow your mind to turn off as you contemplate if you handled that last case correctly, if the victims were watched out for, or if you could have done something better. This should reassure you because it means you care. You're entering a career that deserves and even demands your best. You will make mistakes, but if I may, I would like to offer you 3 pieces of advice. 1, positive attitudes will see you through even the worst of days. Hold tight to them. Don't become embittered and negative. Be that shining light for others. You will have bad cases, but strive to never have an entire bad day. You may not get to choose your challenges, but you absolutely get to choose how you respond to what lies in front of you. 2, don't ever stop learning and growing. Remember your recent mock scenes. We often remember and learn from the ones we fail or fall short of, as I told many of you. Those are the situations that make us grow. Times and methods change, and we need to be flexible in order to be as efficient as we can be. You and I will never know it all. You're beginning a career with many other like-minded professionals. You will find lifelong friends and confidants in the men and women you work with. Keep safe habits and strive to constantly better yourself. And finally, 3, don't be afraid to admit when you're wrong. You don't have to be perfect. It is acceptable to make mistakes, but do your best to minimize them and become better. This habit will garner respect from supervisors and public, and especially coworkers. One is often better off when they make a mistake, admit it, and learn from it, than if they would have never slipped up in the first place. The Anacortes Community Services Officer wrote a poem of sorts that is applicable to today. So with your permission, I'd love to read it to you. It's called On the 8th Day. On the 8th day, God looked down on his planned paradise and said, I need a guardian. So God made a police officer. God said, I need somebody willing to keep watch all night, to write reports, keep the peace, earn trust, work out, eat well, take care of their families and neighbors, sports teams and pets, to be coaches and teachers and volunteers, someone to memorize every car and person and home and address, to know who lives in a house and who they're dating and what their job is and what's normal and who's new and what they're doing, to observe and process and make decisions based on training, instinct, and integrity. So God made a police officer. I need somebody with arms strong enough to rustle a bad guy and yet gentle enough to deliver a baby. Somebody to drive fast and shoot well, and to be too busy to eat or sleep or to take a break if the call volume is too great. Someone to be the first to speak with the elderly mother of a deceased daughter, to endure the highs and lows, the fast and slows of day-to-day police work, to free a baby from the clenched jaws of a mother's addiction, to swing an axe and free a mariner from a sinking ship, to catch a John whose intention is to victimize a young girl and patiently walk a victim through the pain of pressing charges on an abusive spouse who lashed out for the 10th time. So God made a police officer. God said, I need somebody to stop a drug deal and gear up with weapons and ammo and vest to protect life and limb, and to take it off at the end of the day and leave the tension of work at the door to stop and swoop up a young child, kiss a spouse, pet a dog. Someone who is resourceful and gentle and honest and trustworthy, courageous and kind, yet tough and gentle. Someone who can laugh and cry and know their limits. Someone who can compete in a fitness challenge and with discipline and tact overcome the desire to overeat or gamble or steal. Someone who can train to endure pain and hardship and have a plan B and C and D for innumerable events, situations, and people that they may come in contact with during a course of an 8-hour day. God had to have somebody willing to get harassed and teased and berated and bitten and spit on and assaulted with the tools available to them. They have to respond lawfully, professionally, and appropriately while protecting themselves, their community, the suspect, and the peers that they respect and cherish. Somebody willing to experience the thrill of a chase and still manage their emotions when contact is made. After a 14-mile drive through town, to draw a gun, break a window, deflate a hostile situation with a firm hand, while recognizing the frailty of the suspect being removed from the disabled car. So God made a police officer. I need somebody strong enough to run through the forest, push cars, and climb fences, move rocks, yet discerning enough to sort through the twisted carnage of an MVA to determine fault, liability, and even sobriety. Somebody to wade through the lies to find the truth, to maintain their sense of optimism despite spending months on a graveyard shift contacting individuals who lurk in the shadows of an otherwise beautiful community. Someone courageous enough to shop at a store with their wife and infant the day after they have arrested someone in the same aisles they visited the day before. It had to be somebody who lives straight and doesn't cut corners. Somebody to run and joke and jump and cuff and roll and dive and even encourage a new recruit excited about what lies ahead of them. Someone who would laugh and then sigh and then reply with smiling eyes when their child says they want to do exactly what daddy does or mommy does. So to you that are willing to join this noble profession, I welcome you to the ranks. We need you. The struggle is never ending. Keep your chins up, your heads down, and don't ever stop leaning forward and learning new skills. I would be proud to step into the fire with any of you. Congratulations.
Nicely spoken, Scott. Good words. At the beginning of each academy session, the class is divided up into 2 squads, Evergreen Squad and Cascade Squad. Representing the 2 squads today with their perspectives on the 28th session experience are graduating cadets Eric Larson for the Evergreen Squad and Cadet Landon Rick of the Cascade Squad. Gentlemen, your choice. Who goes first?
Thank you, Commander. It's an honor to stand here in front of all of you today. This academy has been an amazing journey, and it's shocking how fast the time has gone by. Like any good speech, I thought I would start with a reading. It's a big book. RCW 4661, 665, embracing another while driving. It shall be unlawful for any person to operate a motor vehicle upon the highway of the state in which such person has in his or her embrace another person which prevents the free and unhampered operation of such vehicle. Operation of a motor vehicle in such violation as section is prima facie evidence of reckless driving. Take that as you will. It may be a good note to remember on the car ride home this evening. A law enforcement ranger is much more than a traditional law enforcement officer. We will be tasked with a wide variety of responsibilities. Not only does a ranger have to worry about keeping people safe, but the park and cultural resources as well. When you look at the flat-brimmed campaign hat that a ranger wears, it represents an expert in a handful of fields. That flat hat represents a wildland firefighter, an EMT, a construction worker, a park interpreter, and search and rescue personnel, to name a few. With that all said, a ranger is wise, turning their weaknesses into their strengths, and never faltering at the unknown. To a ranger, anything is possible, and those in Evergreen are sure to demonstrate that time and time again. Over the last 4 months, I've had a great pleasure to know my cadets and those of Evergreen Squad. I remember the day the squad voted for me to be their leader, the moment that they graciously elected me and the fanfare and Gustacious fanfare had calmed down. I could only think to myself, I wonder if they knew what they got themselves into. I'm sure by now that they would have taken their votes more seriously back then, but I am greatly honored to have worked with such great cadets. I'm inspired by the camaraderie and diversity of the squad. To put it into perspective, I'd like to share some facts with you. In height, we range from a 5'1" and 3/4, to be specific, to 6 foot, ouch, it hurts to look that high. Those in Evergreen Squad ranged, having honorable careers before this academy, from a lieutenant colonel serving in the U.S. Army as a military police, to a recently retired frat boy from Washington State University. I use the term career very loosely. We speak several languages. One cadet is fluent in Espanol, that's Spanish. One speaks in a southern accent from Virginia, and we understand what he says more than half the time. And all 3 of our veterans in the squad speak fluent Arabic, curse words only. Evergreen is truly a diverse squad. This academy has not been easy. Many have had to give up their previous jobs and endure time away from family. It has called for countless hours of study and practice. The 3 other cadets who were in EMT training along with myself accounted for 32 credit hours, an equivalent of just shy of a year and a half of college in 4 months. It has been tough, painful, and constantly challenging. But even through the most trying of experiences, we came together and held each other up. Most especially, banding together after our frightful day with Lieutenant Moore from Mount Vernon Police Department, who took too much pleasure in spraying us in the face with OC. Although the pain still haunts me, as I'm sure it does many others up here, I know that my fellow cadets like Kyle Neeser have my back. We have spent countless hours in the dojo, known as Kevin Russum's House of Pain. We have tossed each other, we have twisted each other's arms, and we watched Scott Arbison in awe. As a squad, we grew from the early days consoling each other that the class schedule seemed to change hour to hour, and later cheering on each other's talents and triumphs through seemingly unwinnable scenarios. We were there for each other. We experienced the same thing and learned from each other. Because of our training and our experiences, we all have each other's backs. Throughout this journey, it has become clear that our friends, families, and mentors also have our backs. Their support is what drives us to be successful, and as we continue, it is what we'll need. I would like to extend my great thanks and dedication of our supporters, again, families, friends, mentors, and our instructors. The influence you all have had on us throughout our upbringing and throughout this program has shaped us and led us to where we are today. We are all here because of your examples and your guidance, and we choose to stand up for others, to serve and keep people safe, and because of it. With your continued support, we will go stronger in this mission, continuing to uphold our promise that we'll make today. We will be the ranger to help give directions, the first to come to your aid. We will be there in the night and in the morning. We will be on patrol on the trails. We'll patrol by cars and trucks. And even like Claire, we'll patrol on horseback. From the beaches of Florida to the Great Rocky Mountains and beyond, putting out fires and sharing our parks, we will be there. I know we will be there because I know the cadets in my squad. Evergreen is strong, dedicated, happy, and brave. We are what it takes to be a ranger. I leave you with this. In the toughest of times and most stressed, do as my fellow cadet Tyler Mock and walk away in peace. Thank you.
Thank you. Stand fast for a second. Mr. Rick.
Hello. Good afternoon, everyone. I am Landon Rick, the elected leader of the Cascade Squad. I was very excited to give this speech when the commander told me it could be 45 minutes. Through further clarification, I guess he meant 4 to 5 minutes, but we're going to roll with it anyway. Before I begin, I'd like to take a moment to also give recognition to our commander, as well as our Lieutenant, T. Davis Overby, to every single instructor, scenario actor, and any other affiliates of the Parks Law Enforcement Academy here today. The past 17 weeks have been full of phenomenal opportunities for learning, and for that, we are all very grateful for your thankless efforts. For those of you who have the honor of knowing me, you have certain expectations of what this speech will probably be like. I heard an uncomfortable amount of times from my fellow cadets that I should do an interpretive ribbon dance. Unfortunately for them, I will counter with one of the very first commandments we learned, and that is to expect the unexpected. So this speech is but an opportunity for me to tell you about my squad, the Cascade Squad, and the characters that comprise it. This is their speech. If Cadet Travis Sinfellow were standing before you here today, he'd probably tell you all about his medical expertise and that he has a child on the way with a beautiful wife. But what he might not tell you is that his quiet leadership was appreciated every single day, and I thought he represented the best in us. If Christopher Noah were up here today, he'd first and foremost tell you that my squad leader rank was tainted by his presence being absent when we voted, as he reminded me of every single day of the academy. What Noah might not disclose to you all, however, is that he is one of the strongest cadets in so many ways, and that we often turn to him in times of difficulty. As an example, at one component of our physical examination just the other day, and this is a direct quote from Noah that got us all pumped up, "This is a 1.5 mile run, you guys. It's not Mount Everest. You've got this." Thank you, Noah. Now, fortunately, Derek Weir is not up here today, but if he were, his speech would revolve around the fact that he has gone through a difficult and arduous process and is receiving the great honor of his final selection for the United States Border Patrol. Derek would probably shy away from telling you, however, that I think he has a great amount of compassion and an infectious personality. It should be noted that he would probably never disclose to you all as well how high his voice got on our OC pepper spray day as well. Were Cadet Rockneyfinger up here before you, he might talk about how every day of defensive tactics was but another opportunity for him to take on our instructor, Kevin Russum, in the infamous House of Pain. If you have not met Kevin Russum, consider yourself lucky. Rockneyfinger would probably never tell you guys, however, that he was solid in just about every single thing that he did in this academy, and that he's stronger than most people you'll ever meet. And yet he still managed to fly under the radar most days. Were Megan Kubajiri standing up here, she would probably tell you that her boots are so shiny, you can see your future in them. She might not inform you that her knack for kindness and empathy is phenomenal, and I think she could have been the squad leader any day. When it comes to Hunter West, you will all be graced with his speech in a few short minutes. But I'd like you all to know he was the youngest in our group, which was referenced quite regularly. Why, it was only a few short weeks ago that Mr. West started getting his first 2 mustache hairs. The squad took it out of our hearts to name them individually, Thunder and Lightning. In all seriousness, however, I think you guys should all know that Hunter was the heart of this academy, and I will genuinely miss him. Now, for Graham Oakley's speech, he'd be standing up here telling you that every day on the shooting range or in the fire tower was but another day for him to demonstrate just how tactical he was. He is known as Mr. Tacticool, actually. What he might not mention, though, is that on the first day of this academy, we broke into an icebreaker where we interviewed and then introduced another cadet to the class. I had the fortune of interviewing Graham Oakley, and I want you all to know what he wanted the class to know that day, and that is, he's a lover, not a fighter. But he's also a fighter, so don't you dare push him. And he's been one of my best friends here since day one. Now, when it comes to Devin McCoy's speech, he'd stand up here taking the time to tell all of you that you as well, with a beard trimmer and a proper haircut, can go from looking like the founding member of Led Zeppelin to a James Dean lookalike in a matter of minutes. He would never tell you, though, that he was often the very first one to school every day and often the last one to leave, whether it was unloading boxes at the shooting range or cleaning the classroom after a long day. Devin is humble and takes great pride in all that he does, and all agencies would be lucky to have him. Now, were James Monahan standing up here, his speech would probably be a lot more funny than mine. And while there are many things I'd love to tell you guys about James, I notice we do have children in the audience, so I will just say this. James best represented the idea of team player, and his personality was often a calming and needed presence. And last, and certainly not least, Melissa Lebert. Her speech would revolve around the great effort she put into this academy every single week. She might not tell you, though, that her genuine friendship and smile could often turn a cadet's bad day into a good one. Ladies and gentlemen, these are the cadets of Cascade Squad, and they are some of my best friends. They are described truthfully with words like leadership, strength, compassion, empathy, kindness, heart, humble, pride, team, and genuine. They represent park rangers, and they represent the best of us. They are my brothers and sisters. I leave you all with a poem from Maya Angelou, because she can write a lot better than I can. And I hope it says what I've been trying to say throughout this speech in a much more nice way. That poem is titled Human Family. I note the obvious differences in the human family. Some of us are serious, and some thrive on comedy. Some declare their lives are lived as true profundity, and others claim they really live the real reality. The variety of our skin tones can confuse, bemuse delight. Brown and pink, beige and purple, tan and blue and white. I've sailed upon the 7 seas, and I've stopped in every land. I've seen the wonders of this world, not yet one common man. I know 10,000 women called Jane and Mary Jane, but I've not seen any two who really were the same. Mirror twins are different, although their features jibe, and lovers can think quite different thoughts while lying side by side. We love and lose in China. We weep on England's moors. We laugh and moan in Guinea and thrive on Spanish shores. We seek success in Finland, are born and die in Maine. In minor ways we differ, in major we are the same. I note the obvious differences between each sort and type, but we are more alike, my friends, than we are unalike. We are more alike, my friends, than we are unalike. We are more alike, my friends, than we are unalike. Thank you.
That's okay, he's already called you out. The class selects each year a graduating cadet as their class speaker. And this year, that honor goes to Cadet Hunter West. Hunter?
Hello, everyone. Thank you very much for coming out here today. And those of you who are watching this, thank you very much for your time. I feel confident saying that we all learned an enormous amount of information and gained lifelong skills. And that's really because of all the instructors that we've had come and teach us. We've learned a lot. We've learned a lot about ourselves as well. I know I have, anyways. Everyone, myself included, has a bounty of previous experiences, and you've all heard quite a bit about that already. Regardless, as the youngest cadet, I can say that I felt anxious and kind of intimidated when I first got here, when I first found out that I was the youngest one. But I tried to put that aside, or I tried to put aside my own personality for the idea that somehow I would fit in and be successful. I mean, I only learned that the best thing I could do to be successful is to just be myself. No one has made a huge accomplishment by being the same as someone else. And being as special as you all are, I'm glad that we're unique. I've learned a lot from all of you. You all have helped me grow. Not quite a mustache yet, but it's getting there. So with that, I just want to say thank you all to the instructors, to family, friends, and to my class. You guys are not just classmates, but friends, and I really hope to see you all again one day. Thank you.
Commander, there are no words to describe how much you mean to us. You've taught us to trust our instincts, to be courageous, to be compassionate and humble. But most importantly, you've taught us to believe in ourselves.
As a symbol of our appreciation, the 20th class of the Skagit Valley College Parks Law Enforcement Academy would like to present you with this gift.
No. Oh, don't cry. Oh my gosh. Devin made the frame.
Thank you. I don't think I need any stinking microphone to tell you that I'm really blown away with that. That's very, very, very kind. Thank you. That's awesome. Now for some parting gifts for you. You shouldn't do that kind of thing to old people. Now's the time when we are able to present some awards to folks who have worked very diligently, very hard over the course of time. Before I do that, I just want to say you have been a special group, and one will remain in my heart and my mind for years to come. You're only going to be limited by the decisions you make in the field. And I guess if I had to give you one last piece of advice, this is totally unscripted. Just be civil to people. Treat people kindly. Treat them as you would want to be treated. You'll get by just fine. The Association of National Park Rangers Seasonal Perspectives Award was instituted in the year 2010 by Skagit Valley College graduate Jason Allen, who served for several years as the national representative for the ANPR for the Seasonal Rangers. The Seasonal Ranger Perspectives Award recognizes professionalism, demeanor, leadership, and a stewardship ethic. It awards a one-year membership in the Association of National Park Rangers, as well as a subscription to the quarterly publication Ranger Magazine. The recipient's name is also placed on a plaque that will reside in the honor case in the Plea classroom, the Parks Law Enforcement Academy classroom. This year's, how did this happen? Every year, you have to understand, every year this happens. The Seasonal Perspective Award winner is Megan Kubajiri. Here we go. Now, see, that's what happens when you ambush old men. Congratulations.
Thank you.
You're welcome. This year called for a Commander's Inspirational Award. The following award being presented to a cadet who consistently, yet quietly, demonstrated a high level of teamwork, cooperation, patience, and a desire to improve across all phases of academy work. The cadet receiving this award should also know that it's not given out each year, yet the efforts of that person do not go unrecognized. This year's Commander's Inspirational Award goes to William Corey. Physical fitness is incredibly important in all aspects and phases of one life generally, and specifically to those who engage in public safety activities. Today we honor those who excelled in the physical efficiency battery and other academy physical fitness requirements. The top National Park Service Fitness Award is given to James Monahan. The top state physical fitness award for Washington State's public physical ability test is Devin McCoy. And finally, the men's overall fitness award, the overall fitness award, physical fitness for the overall cadet, is Kyle Neeser. Emergency vehicle operations course is what I tell the cadets probably some of the most fun that they'll have during the academy. I can always tell when I send them off to Bellingham to work under Sergeant McFadden out there, and Sergeant Linnell. I know that when they come back, they're going to have grins from ear to ear. I know, I've seen it too many times to know. The vehicle dynamics course is 1.4 miles long with a total of 15 cone patterns to navigate and a total of 232 cones. The cones are 12 and 18 inches high, as well as 36-inch delineator cones, and they are spaced not very far apart. There's not a lot of room for error. Time must be completed navigating through this system in under 2 minutes 45 seconds with no more than 5 errors. Today we're going to be awarding drivers who successfully completed clean qualification runs during performance testing. Certificates for one clean qualification run are given to Tyler Johnson, Devin McCoy, Graham Oakley, Megan Kubajiri, Hunter West, and Nicholas Rockney Finger. Please. Okay, you're in here someplace. Let me get rid of a couple of these. Tyler Johnson, right on top. There we go. And Megan, you are, ma'am. And Devin, and Graham, and Mr. Rockney Finger, is it stuck in there? Ah, right there. Thank you. And Hunter. Hunter West right there. Thank you. The EVOC Top Gun for EVOC award, for the EVOC course awarded to the student driver with the quickest clean run of the combined squads during a one-run competition was won this year in 2 minutes 35 seconds flat of flat-out precision driving, and that winner is Tyler Johnson. The EVOC placement course is approximately 1/10 mile long and consists of 5 patterns that have to be navigated both in forward and reverse. The course consists of approximately 60 36-inch tall delineator cones. The course must be completed in under 2 minutes 15 seconds, and there can be no cones struck. There is a Top Gun award that's awarded to the student driver from the combined squads with the quickest clean run during qualifications. At 1 minute 19 and 10/100 seconds, the winner of the EVOC course for placement is Kyle Neeser. And finally, the overall Top Gun award awarded to the student driver from the combined squads with the quickest clean run during qualifications at 2 minutes 26 and 9/100ths of a second, Tyler Johnson. A lot of hard work. No one wants to fight. This body was made for loving, not for fighting. I think there's others that could say the same thing out there. But in public safety, in law enforcement, you know that sometimes those things are inevitable. And even if it doesn't degenerate down to a fight, you may end up having to control somebody or take control of a situation, calling for good firm control tactics and arrest techniques. The award today is provided through the advice of control tactics instructors who shared with me their observations and handling of the cadets through practices and closed skills testing and for both control tactics and arrest techniques. The Top Defensive Control Tactics Award is presented for demonstrating ongoing interest toward achieving excellence in the proficiency of all phases of use of force and control methods during closed skills proficiency testing and carried over into the field exercises. This award today, the Control Tactics Award, is presented to Scott Geraci. In terms of firearms proficiency, in addition to receiving training on fundamentals of shooting, cadets must learn the nomenclature, care, maintenance, carry, and use of force implications behind the use and display of a 9mm semi-automatic pistol, a 12-gauge police shotgun, and an AR-15 police long rifle. The cadets must shoot a National Park Service prescribed qualification in all 3 firearms in both daylight and low light and night conditions. There were several people that shot perfect 30 out of 30 or 300 scores in the daylight course of fire, night or low light course of fires, or the patrol rifle course of fire. For the semi-automatic pistol, Graham Oakley, a perfect 30 for 30 score in the semi-automatic pistol. For the patrol rifle, Graham Oakley, perfect 30 for 30, Scott Geraci, Megan Kubajiri, Brian Jones, William Corey, Christopher Noah, and Eric Larson. Let me get some of these readed out there. Maybe I can get through. All right, so Scott, there's yours. Megan is here. Brian is there. William is here. Christopher Noah is back there. Eric Larson is here. Hold on. I know why. And the reason why is Stephen Graham Oakley is also awarded the Top Firearms Course Award. This one was just decided about 2 hours ago. After completion of all mock scenes in basic tactics, patrol tactics, active shooter, and scenario-based blocks, the next person is selected by the vote of their peers as the person who best reflects attributes that the voter would want in a partner. Who would you select to be by your side during routine patrols, or if the chips were down and you needed the best possible tactical partner at your side? This year, several cadets received votes, but in the end, the Tactical Choice Award for the 28th Academy goes to Christopher Noah. Dr. Edwards puts them through their paces in many respects, not just the law, but also in terms of writing. Yes? You had to write lots of memorandums? How many? Too many? Not enough? How many? 11?
Too many.
Okay.
Not enough.
The Professional Communications Award are issued to cadets receiving a minimum of 95% over all the prescribed memoranda as directed by Dr. Edwards. These awards are issued to the following people: Tyler Mock, James Monahan, Carissa Hart, Tyler Johnson, Melissa LeBaire, Kyle Neeser, and Landon Rick. There you go. Congratulations. And Tyler Johnson. And Tyler Mock. And James Mock. Melissa LeBaire. Congratulations. Kyle Neeser. And Landon Rick. In the case of the Academic Achievement Award, this student scored a 96.170 over the aggregate scores of 6 federally administered test scores. Additionally, performance on written assignments in the areas of collision investigation, arrest, search and seizure, report writing, and crime scene investigation, and the memoranda administered by Dr. Edwards leads the Academic Achievement Award, going to Tyler Mock. Then we're down to the final award, which goes to the overall top cadet. That person that demonstrates consistently high standards of competition in all phases of Academy subject matter. The recipient's name will go on a plaque on display in the awards case in the Parks Law Enforcement Academy classrooms. I had the distinct pleasure of being in a dilemma because this year 2 names will go on that plaque. The recipient of the top cadet awards for 28th Academy are Tyler Johnson and Kyle Neeser. Now it's time to present the graduating class of 2017 with their certificates of appreciation. I will ask President Keegan, Dr. Edwards, Dean Greeno, Chief Dodd, and Ranger Asarian to join me on the stage in a receiving line. Before we do this, I have a note of explanation for the audience. On the first day of the Academy, each cadet was given a piece of metal, a dull metal slug, and we called it the device. They may have spoken of it from time to time, and it represented their unfinished, unprepared status at that time. They were instructed to never be without their device, and it was to be produced upon demand at any time with consequences if they didn't. The purposes behind this are several: to develop a unique Academy tradition, to celebrate a culminating experience, but more importantly, to foster professional behaviors like responsibility, accountability, honor, and security. Today, their device will be turned in, and I am proud to be replacing their old device with a new one, representing their finished body of work at the Academy level. Audience, this will provide you with an early opportunity to photograph your cadet as they receive their certificate, because after a salute, they will turn to face you for a brief moment. Cadets, as I call your name, please come forward. And I think we're going to need to maybe get a table out here. Just, let's put her right back here. Yeah, that'll be fine. Thank you. Eric Robert Larson. You still got to go back. Hunter Robert West. Russell Martin White. Matthew E. Derek Adam Weir. William Shaw Corey. James Scott Geraci. Claire Irene Gilman. Carissa Tina Hart. Tyler James Johnson. Brian Scott Jones. Megan Kimiko Kubicki. Melissa Marie LeHare. Devin Scott John McCoy. Tyler J. Vaughn. James J. Monahan. Christopher Donald Noel. Travis Robert Lockheed Finger. Travis Wayne Sinfeld. Class, if you would please rise. Attention. Ladies and gentlemen, Chief Jerry Dodd of the Mount Vernon Police Department was the Academy's instructor for ethics and professional conduct. It's only fitting that he be called forward to come administer the graduating class their symbolic oath of honor. Chief Dodd.
Thank you, Bill. It's truly an honor and humbling for me to stand before the graduating class of 2017 and among many friends, family, and loved ones. Throughout the past 17 weeks, we have openly discussed the importance of park law enforcement and professional conduct. Ethics, values, principles, and integrity are the cornerstone of parks law enforcement and what we all are committed in this room to do. All of you in class 2017 are expected to maintain your conduct, your behavior, and your performance to the highest ethical standards in our society, and are rarely forgiven for any ethical shortcoming or breach of public trust. To be worthy of this public trust and to ensure that your professional conduct is above reproach, you must not only conform to the law enforcement code of ethics, but today you are making an ethical commitment to your friends, to your loved ones, and maybe even your boss. The law enforcement oath of honor is a symbolic statement of your ethical commitment. And in class, you are asked to make an ethical commitment to yourself, but today you're going to make a formal commitment to others, so they may witness you sincerely intend to do what you say, what you promise, and that you will follow the basic principles. When you take this oath, you promise that you will follow and obey these principles and hold yourself to that promise today, tomorrow, and forever. Class 2017, please raise your right hand. The law enforcement oath of honor. On my honor, I will never betray my badge, my integrity, my character, or the public trust. I will always have the courage to hold myself and others accountable for our actions. I will always uphold the Constitution, my community, and the agency I serve. Class 2017. As I stand before you in front of your family, your friends, your loved ones, and guests, please acknowledge your promise and your commitment to the law enforcement oath of honor by saying, I do. I do. I do. Please remain standing. You can lower your right hand. I'll turn it over to Commander Overby.
Ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce to you the 2017 Fall Session 28 graduating class of the Skagit Valley College Parks Law Enforcement Academy. In a moment, I will ask the color guard to retrieve the flags. The bagpipers will come back and the processional off the stage will occur. I will ask the audience at that time to rise and wait until the folks on the stage are off and headed out of the auditorium, after which please join us. There'll be a receiving line and then some refreshments at the end. And again, I thank you for being here today.
Color guard, attention. Right, face. Forward, march. Left, 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 left. Mark, time, mark. Color guard, halt. Color guard, left face. Color guard, retrieve colors. Mark, time, mark.